How's it going, guys? It's Joe. Welcome to the channel. Today's gonna be an awesome Grand Arena, guys. I'm really excited to say I'm going up against Puke Skywalker, and he's actually in my fleet shard. He reached out to me before the match. Unfortunately, I had already set my defense before we were able to make it a bit more interesting. However, it's still gonna be awesome. This guy is an absolute legend. Looking at the overview here on the screen, we're quite matched in GP, and he's got a little bit of an edge in the top 80 GP. He's got a little bit of an edge in relics as well, and in rank, both in Division 1. His lifetime banners is amazing at almost 280k, and his defensive wins are awesome as well. This guy is legit one of the best players I've ever matched up against in GAC, so this is going to be a really challenging one for me. Although he got here really good without a galactic legend, so that's what makes it a little bit interesting. I do have Kylo Ren. However, he got here defeating all the Rays before he got to me. I just want to thank my guild Honorbound as well. You guys are an absolute wealth of knowledge to have around. Firstly, I want to thank Toran. He helped me formulate this defense that you see on the thumbnail. Steel has always been there in the beginning, helping me out with sorting out my lineups and mods. And Anton, you're always a good support, and I'm glad to have you on board, mate. Thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So we're in round 3 of Grand Arena now, guys, and I'm really excited to show you the footage here today. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it was a real challenge for me, so let's get right into it. Puke here is in my fleet shard, and just to give you a brief overview of his roster, he doesn't have any galactic legends at the moment. However, he is an absolute beast in Grand Arena. He's about 5.6 GP, as you can see in the top there. He's got most meta teams regardless, and the mods on these characters, guys, the mods are amazing. So he's got a ton of good mods and a ton of good speed mods, and every single character I looked at here was modded very optimally. So this guy is not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. So I felt the need to warm up in this particular battle, so I wanted to make sure that I started off with a decent counter. I wasn't as confident with a Django lead, so I went for the Bosk lead because I realized there's no Night Sister zombie in this lineup, therefore there's no pre-taunt, and I can possibly get to my payouts at one point. We got Foresight on Night Sister Spirit, so I just wanted to apply ability block on here, and Asajj is now the weakest, so I can start going for her. And we're making decent work of these Night Sisters here. Although we were able to drop Asajj there, I wasn't able to drop her with the correct character, as I know she could still be revived by Old Darker at this point, and we still haven't hit our payouts. And this Night Sister Spirit is no pushover either. As you can see, she's doing quite a number on Bosk. And now I'm going to go for Old Darker, so there won't be any more revives, but we actually lost Bosk there. And looking at the mods, that Spirit was actually at around 7 or 8, I think it was 6 to 8k maybe, 6 to 8k offense, and applies so much damage. And we finally get her down with 50 banners there. So as you can see, guys, his defense was absolutely insane. He's got an EP lead here with Malik and BSF, and he's also got a mixture of Darth Revan and Night Sister teams here. So I decided to go for Darth Revan here, and I had no choice as I had placed most of my 501st on defense. So I'm going to use a Bastilishan lead with Gas and Hoda here. So as you can see, the Darth Revan went first. He's always usually pretty fast, but looking at his mods, he was about 338 speed. So there's no way of me outrunning that. However, I was able to survive as Bastilishan lead allows for your Jedi to have protection up towards the beginning. And it also allows for you to be more tenacious as well as gain a little bit of turn meter at the beginning. And once we're able to drop Darth Revan, we can make quick work of the Night Sisters there for 54 banners. So this is the team that I have been struggling with in the past. And I actually had this really creative idea of using a Darth Revan led Sith Empire with Wat Tambor. I apply Insanity there, they all get feared. And I'm going to use my basic on BSF. However, this team goes absolute ham once BSF applies that fear and all those debuffs. And it just doesn't allow you to take a turn. At this point, I'm throwing out my AoEs, hoping that I can at least drop one of these characters before I lose this match. And I'm able to drop EP there. However, that BSF is really tanky. Malik goes for that life steal on Darth Revan, and we lose Darth Revan there. And we're just slowly losing all our characters here. And this team is absolutely insane on defense, guys. And actually, talking to Puke towards the end, he was able to one-shot my defense. That's comprised of the exact same lineup. And I got a little bit of insight on what team I should be using next time. Over the top here is a Grievous lineup, so I decided to take a break from that EP squad and just go for this Grievous here with my JKR and Jolie. And it's a very similar strategy to 5v5 where I'm going to mark B2 Super Battle Droid here. I'm going to try and drop him early. Grievous is doing ton of damage on our team at the moment. About to do another AoE there. Got JKR on the yellow. I'm just gonna whittle away on Magna's protection for the minute. Just waiting for Marked to be available to us. He procs Savior there. And we're able to drop Magna. At this point, we're still pretty healthy, so we're in a good position here. And we finally get marked, get a stun on Grievous. And we got 51 banners there. So he really set a tricky defense for us, guys. And at the bottom here, I actually thought I had this with my Padme squad. It's very interesting as I did speed this up a fair bit because it took me a while to get past Bastilishan here as well. And even worse was just trying to be meticulous about applying that healing immunity and buff immunity on Malik. The trouble here is you don't have that many sources of courage stacks in 3v3, unfortunately. And with Anakin, you want to use that basic so you can possibly stick that buff immunity and healing immunity. However, it didn't always happen, as you can see. And it's very frustrating as this Malik doesn't have that much tenacity. However, it's just resisting everything. And once Malik takes a turn as well, he does a ton of damage. And with his lifesteal, there's no way of really getting past him with this Padme team. And it was a bit unfortunate that I couldn't get that stun on Padme there. That was a critical stun. If I was able to stun Malik there, things may have been different. However, RNG is not always on our side, as we all know. And we just have to carry on. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was a little bit frustrated. I had lost 2 meta teams on Malik there. Because honestly, those 2, EP and BSF, aren't nearly as good without Malik. And that's a Relic 7 Malik with protection primaries on the arrow cross. So it's really tanky. And this is me thinking to myself, oh, there can't be anything too strong in the back line. So I decided to use my CLS at this point. So to start off with, you really want to take out Dooku here, guys, as he can stun lock your team, he can pass turn meter around and stealth, and you don't want that happening. So at this point, I wanted to save Newt Gunray for last, so I wanted to go for Sun Fac here. But my CLS rebels made really quick work of this team. So I got the quick win there for 51 banners. And this is where I actually had to stop and formulate a plan, as I was losing a lot of my meta teams here, guys, and I didn't know what else to use against this Malik to clean it up. As usually, or typically, I would have gone for first order with a Kylo Ren unmasked lead. However, I placed them on defense, so I was running out of options, and I was so glad that I still had Geo Brood Alpha, Geo Spy, and Geo Soldier on offense, as I was able to utilize them here against that Bounty Hunter squad on the top. So his Bosk is at about 310 speed, and he went first, and that's a really high tenacity Bosk as well. Although I'm so glad that I have so much damage on my Spy, as I was able to apply that second ability the second time around and slowly whittle down on his protection. There's the second ability. I'm going to pass this on to Spy again. Not going to use the cleanse just yet. And I just decided at this point just to go for Bosk. And we finally get Bosk down. And now we're going to go for Boba. We got a big hit here. And I was hoping to utilize that on Dengar. And so I did at this point. Dengar goes to stealth. And we're able to drop Boba. We'll try and get a little bit of protection back for 51 banners as well. So with 3v3, I don't predominantly look for banners. I don't do a lot of banner pinching. So with 3v3, I always think to myself, the ultimate goal is really just to get that full clear. So after much deliberation with my guildmates and Anton, I was finally able to formulate this team here, which is a bit of a weird lineup, although the main goal here is really just to fracture Malik pass a bit of turn meter onto Nihilus and get him as quick to annihilate as possible. So I'm going to pass a bunch of turn meter around. I'm going to use Thrawn's fourth ability there, which is what you get with him as the leader. And it's actually pretty handy, as whenever you use that ability, it gives Thrawn that bit of turn meter that you require in order to keep fracturing Malak. So I was a bit skeptical at first whether this team was going to work. However, as you can see, all that turn meter gain and passing it around and using Thrawn's fourth ability while he's on the leadership actually worked out, and I got to annihilate really quickly, getting rid of Malak there. So what I noticed in 3v3 is you gain so much turn meter so quickly. So if you have characters like First Order Officer or Thrawn, they're going to be like your plug and play characters that provide you a ton of turn meter. But in the back line, I looked at this and I was like, wow, so this is still a really solid defense in the back line. I was hoping for a much softer defense. And thinking about this, I already knew I wasn't going to get the full clear today. Although my opponent has decided to attack as well. And he got stuck behind my Kylo Ren team there, combined with B1 and B2 Super Battle Droid. So over at the top here, I decided to use the classic Traya lead Sith. And even this matchup was a little bit iffy at times. Droidic is doing a good number on our Sith Empire Trooper here. And we're working towards getting this Geobrood Alpha down. And whenever I had the chance, I went for Geo Spy as well. Geo Spy absolutely just destroys Sith Empire Trooper there. And I wanted to keep Isolate on the Brute there, as I didn't want an annoying taunt. And that Traya lead eventually paid off, as I got them all on really low health there. But towards the end, Droidica still had damage immunity, and he was still doing a ton of damage to our team here. And he was able to drop Traya as well. But I was so glad that I had Scion relicked up decently and modded up pretty tanky. And that way Droidica could not have dropped Scion at this point. Although a lot of these fights, guys, went down to the wire and they were all really quite tough. And it really just boiled down to mods. Like, this guy had way better mods than I did, and all his characters were modded so much better. So I'm still happy for those 47 banners there. And he's working on the Kylo Ren there in South. He's had about 3 battles in. And I'm gonna go for a Negotiator mirror match here. I was a little bit indecisive here as to what lineup I should be using. And these days, Nego mirror matchups can be really RNG dependent, I find. And I actually got to the main goal there, which was try and force their negotiator to use the unending loyalty, which it did. And it was at this point that I believe I'd made my mistake, as I called fives out as opposed to calling Plo Koon. And at that point I lost Anakin, as my Houndstooth had ability block, or buff immunity rather, applied to him. So he wasn't able to taunt just before the Clone Sergeant came out, which is really unfortunate for me. And even at this point I was thinking maybe I still had a chance, however he called out the Plo Koon, and now we're just losing our ships here. So there was a little bit of RNG involved, however I did have a misplay on my part, and I was hoping that calling that third ability on the Nego would have done the trick. However, he still had Ahsoka, and I only just had Plo Koon left over. So that was another mistake that I had made. I attempted to undersize this matchup, which I probably should not have. The problem is, in GAC, I really like to take risks, and I just believe that's the way I learn. Gotta make those tough decisions as well. At this point I just want to clean up here with my Thrawn and my Geonosians. And a Negotiator, even without Anakin's ship, can still be quite deadly as well. So I'm going to use that third ability there, try to drop her protection a bit. Finally able to drop both those ships there. And I'm going to target fives straight away. Going to use my breach ability here onto fives. And they still got Undying Loyalty there as well, which is pretty annoying, as five's ship is really tanky. And I'm gonna bring out Kylo Ren Unmasked ship as well, use my basics, and he was even able to get his BLTs out. So even towards the end, I was still questioning my decision making as I got the win there. However, it was still a close match. So looks like my defense is still holding up, which I'm quite happy about. Although I find that it's a little bit unfair, as my opponent here doesn't have a Galactic Legend. And I really honestly do feel this guy would have won this matchup with a Galactic Legend. So I still had Grievous on offense here, which is a bit unusual for me. However, I do like changing things up a bit, and there was a Rex lineup in the back line, so it was worth a try. What I didn't account for here though is that there was a fives in this particular lineup, and he was taunted. They got their aerial advantage there on Grievous. And it's looking more and more bleak at this point, guys. I do have a couple of resistance characters still sitting in the back. So for this top team here of Vader and Scoundrels, I use my JTR and 3PO and R2, which came in handy as I had kept Confuse on Zalbar there. Just kept on applying Confuse. That way his taunt doesn't come out. Now I'm gonna go for mission here. Just keep getting that bit turn meter on R2 as well. Remove turn meter from Zalbar. We got 51 banners there. And looking at that Stormtrooper Han team with Vandor and L3, that just looks like a timeout team to me. And I still had a couple of resistance characters sitting in the back line, which I'm quite happy about. So I actually used an OG pole lead here, which provided that little bit more offense that we needed to break down these tanks. So I got inspired on both resistance heroes at this point. I'm going to pass that onto OG Poe as well. And I'm going to use my grenade here to drop down Vandor Chewbacca. So this is a really decent team to use on offense as well, guys. And we're doing a fair bit of damage with these two resistance heroes. For the win there with 53 banners. And towards the end here, guys, this was just me being stubborn. I pretty much knew there was no chance of winning this at this point. Well, there was a chance of winning, however, there's no chance of full clearing. So I just threw in a couple of teams to try and whittle down their health and protection and see how I go. So this end bit here, guys, is just how stubborn I can be. I mean, I love this game and I always like to experiment, always like learning new things, so sometimes I just use this opportunity. And I'm quite happy with the result here, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one.